Yes, everybody, welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com, or, of course, if you are watching on our rapidly growing YouTube channel on the race for 10,000 subscribers. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me, as he always does, as we look ahead to the UCLA game on Friday, our very own publisher, Andrew Jones. And AJ here to look ahead, like I just mentioned, to Carolina's Sweet 16 matchup with number 4 seed UCLA on Friday night, late one in Philadelphia's Wells Fargo Center. That game scheduled to tip off around 9:39 p.m., give or take a few. We'll see how that goes. That's a late nighter to say the least. That game will be televised on CBS. Now, UCLA sitting at 27-7 on the year, finished 15-5 in Pac-12 play, second place behind Arizona in the regular season. And obviously leading up to this game, beat Akron in the opening round and beat St. Mary's in the round of 32 last weekend. So, AJ, let's dive into this matchup a little bit. We're going to be looking ahead to it a little in this one. I think it's two blue bloods going at it. I think that's where you got to start. You got two historical programs playing each other. It's UCLA and Carolina do tend to meet in the regular season from time to time as well. This isn't like they haven't played UCLA in years. This is a program they do tend to play on a somewhat consistent basis in the CBS Sports Classic or, little, in-game tournament or in-season tournaments like that to begin the year. So I think two teams that, it's been a couple years since they played, but I think two teams that are, somewhat familiar with each other. And obviously when you look at the history of these two programs that just go way, way back historically. So AJ, I know you obviously in Fort Worth for the opening two wins, big wins from Carolina over Marquette and Baylor to advance to the Sweet 16. But just going into this game, what are your kind of thoughts about where the Tar Heels are at right now before we dive into UCLA more specifically?
Yeah, they have played a lot. Part of the CBS Sports Classic. I've seen them play. This will be the 9th different building I've seen UCLA play in, which is kind of cool when you think about it. I'm getting so old, I'm accumulating some neat stats on my own end, Jacob. I have seen them play Carolina in Brooklyn. I've seen them play Carolina in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. It was Jeremiah Francis and Anthony Harris leading the Tar Heels to a win over Tiger Campbell and Jaime Jaquez and UCLA. So Jaquez and Campbell are still there. Francis is at New Mexico and Harris is unavailable. So there's really nothing to glean from that. I do think what's interesting is that both teams were struggling at the time, and they have certainly moved on quickly. I think that was Mick Cronin's first year at UCLA. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I like this UCLA team. I like the way that they play because they're a little different for out West, and they kind of frustrate a lot of people out there. I did a podcast with David Sisko Monday night, and David's like, look, Mick Cronin's a Midwestern guy, and they play Midwestern basketball. And Midwestern basketball is all about bumping the cutters. Yeah. If you drag cutters to the lane, you give him a little bump, you slow his cut, and you could bog down an offense right there. It's like slowing down a wide receiver in football, slowing down his route, and it kind of screws up everything, right? So UCLA likes to do that a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how Brady Manick, who is very good at moving without the ball and getting himself open, he's almost stealth-like getting open. It's amazing that a guy with all that hair and that beard and 6'9" and who's hard to miss on the court is able to just sneak around defenses and get open. It'll be interesting to see how UCLA tries to affect his movement without the ball. That'll be a key on Friday night. Another key will be just the grittiness that UCLA has played with for a while. They used grittiness to get to the Final Four last year. The game against Gonzaga was one of the greatest college basketball games any of us have ever seen and ever will see. And they have that combination of enough skill and a lot of grit and incredibly sound defensive principles that make them tough for everybody. So they will be a challenge for North Carolina, Jacob. There's no doubt about it. We thought Baylor would be we thought Marquette would challenge Carolina with how they want to run their offense. And the Tar Heels are playing so well, they got what they wanted. They have 4 interesting scoring parts that make it difficult for any kind of set defense to stop them because somebody's going to be free at all times, basically. UCLA does some of that pack line stuff that Virginia does, and Virginia sold out with the double on the post, and that opened up Brady in Brooklyn for all those threes. It'll be interesting to see what UCLA does here, but I'm looking forward to it. And one thing I want to say, and this is a very long response here, but the other thing I want to say is Carolina fans should go back and watch the Arizona at UCLA game. I think it was in late January. Arizona's got some similarities to Carolina. When Arizona is going, I don't think even with Gonzaga, there might not be any team in the country that's more impressive and breathtaking offensively. And the Wildcats burst out of the gate in Pauley Pavilion, and then boom, UCLA put the clamps on them, and Arizona looked awful the rest of the way. That, I think, is going to be UCLA's approach to Carolina on Friday night. So Carolina fans should Google that game. You can probably find it on YouTube and watch it and watch how UCLA defended them. That's probably what Carolina is going to see, something along those lines on Friday night.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun matchup to watch. I really do, because I think, like you said, I think these are two teams in a lot of ways that going up against each other. It's interesting matchups to watch. And just hitting on UCLA really quickly, obviously coached by Mick Cronin in his third season at UCLA. You mentioned them being in the Final Four last year before losing to Gonzaga. I want to talk about Jaime Jaquez, because that is a little bit of a storyline going into it. Obviously, sprained his ankle in the St. Mary's game. Listed as day-to-day right now. We're not really exactly sure what his status is going to be. When you see day-to-day, you kind of expect the guy to play when he's still got 3 or 4 days ahead of the matchup. Obviously got hurt during the weekend too, so you got to count that time as well. He seems to have a good amount of time to recover from that sprained ankle, but they are a little bit tricky. You never know what can happen with those things. But he's obviously a big player for them, and obviously something Carolina fans and Carolina will be looking at. Second leading scorer for them, averaging 14 points per game. Looking a little bit deeper at UCLA, you got 4 guys who average double figures. Johnny Juzang, the leading scorer for UCLA with 15.57 points per. You also got Tiger Campbell. You recognize him with the big hair. Great name as well. Absolutely love that name. Averaging 11.8 points per game. And you got Jules Bernard in there averaging 12.7. So you got some guys on offense that can get it done. You got some guys that can shoot the ball. UCLA shooting 45% from the floor on the season. And like I said, I think I'm glad you mentioned that Arizona game, because I was reading a little bit up on that and just the similarities between Arizona and Carolina, just in the way they can get out and get on a roll and be really deadly when they're on. And I think that's something that Carolina's proven they can do as well. So AJ, going into this matchup, not to focus too much on UCLA because it's obviously a UNC podcast, what are your thoughts on what Carolina has to do to have a chance to win this game? Because like we've talked about it a lot, this is a hot Carolina team right now. But for me, they're also still a team like we saw against Baylor that's got very little room for error. And, if one guy's out and one guy's this, it's a team that things can flip pretty quickly.
It sounds so simple, and it really is. You got to get shots against UCLA. Mm-hmm. Some teams you're going to get shots. You got to get shots against UCLA.
Yeah.
And it's a veteran team. These guys have been around. They know how to play the game. I think as good as Juzang is, and by the way, Tiger Campbell, the best part about his first name is it's THI G-E-R, not Tiger. And that hair is hard to miss. It's going to be a hair game. A lot of dudes with hair.
Fantastic hair game.
All for both sides, absolutely. But I'll tell you, I think a key to UCLA, and therefore it becomes a key to Carolina, is how Cody Riley defends Armando Bacot. Mm-hmm. Cody Riley is a beefy dude. I mean, he could line up in a 4-point stance on the UCLA football team and probably wreak a little bit of havoc. He's a strong dude. He's gonna body Armando. David and I talked about the importance of Armando not picking up fouls when trying to get position on the lower block. Mm-hmm. And they're going to try to push him out because, look, when Armando gets about 7-8 feet away from the basket, if he's unable to get something off the dribble, he is significantly reduced in terms of his effectiveness. UCLA will have that scouted. They'll know that, and they'll try to push him out. If they could push him out and make the offense start a little bit further out, that could be a problem for the Tar Heels. But we said the same thing about Marquette. I thought Marquette was going to push that offense out, and it didn't happen. We thought Baylor was going to force drives all day long. They were going to take away the 3 and force drives all day long. And RJ's first two baskets were threes, and it was a 3-point party for the Tar Heels after that. So I do think one of the things that we've seen from Hubert Davis now 35 games into his career, he knows how to adjust. He knows how to use his parts to find looks. And the guys are playing with such cohesion now. If something's taken away, they just quickly, smooth into something else. They're able to find spots. They're able to find each other. And even if something is taken away, shot opportunities are still going to be there, but they have to have a collective awareness to find the spots and then find the guys in those spots. I thought they showed a lot of patience early against Baylor because Baylor wanted to make them run a lot of offense. And, when you force the team to start dribbling or pass a lot, it increases the potential for error. but the Tar Heels did show a lot of patience over the first 30 minutes when they were defended well and got those shots. They're going to have to do the same thing against UCLA. I'm going to say that UCLA might be a little bit better defensively than Baylor, in part because they have most of the parts from last year back. And those guys, made that run. They were an 11 seed and got to the Final Four. Were nearly got to the national championship game. But they've also been playing together for a while. And this is Cronin's third year, and they now know what he wants to do. So they're completely on the same page. And Jaquez is going to play. Yeah, North Carolina fans, nobody knows about ankle injuries in the NCAA tournament more than North Carolina fans. You had Ty Lawson back in 2009, won the national title. And you had Joel Berry in 2017, won the national title. So these are tough dudes. They play through it. And when they're out there and they're in the midst of the game and the adrenaline's going, they don't feel it. Look at RJ. RJ's left thumb. His left thumb is a mess. And you could see him in pain a lot, probably 6 or 7 times in Fort Worth. But then, whistle blows, ball inbound, pain don't hurt, man. Just like from Roadhouse, pain don't hurt. These guys play through it. So I fully expect Jaquez to play. I guarantee you Carolina expects him to play. In fact, I'm getting ready to go over to Chapel Hill for a press conference, and I'm sure that's what Hubert and the players will say, and they'd be wise to prepare for him. He's a good player. He's kind of a leaky black who scores more. He does a lot of things for him. He's logged a lot of minutes in his career. This is going to be a fun matchup. It's going to be a uniform game. It's going to be a jersey game, Jacob. And it's going to be a couple of clubs with a lot of nice parts that I think know who they are now. I think Carolina knows who it is, knows what it wants to be, and I still think the Tar Heels are improving. We said a few weeks ago, I think if this team continued to play into May, they'd still be ascending into May. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement for this club, and they've made tremendous strides in the last few weeks. And if they continue to improve during the 40 minutes Friday night, they'll win the game.
Definitely. Yeah, I think Carolina's got to shoot well again, like we've always hit on. I mean, I think it's just top and bottom.
Got to get the shots.
Got to hit the shots.
I think if they get the shots, they're going to hit the shots. So the key is getting the shots.
Yeah. And one thing to keep in mind, too, is a good Bruins defensive team, actually ranked 14th in the nation in adjusted defensive efficiency, and held their last 2 opponents to under 48% shooting.
They're good at everything.
Yeah,
they're not
all around really good team.
Riley's 6'9", but he doesn't look 6'9". He looks more 6'7". I don't think he's got a great wingspan. They don't play a lot of length. They do have some length in the perimeter. Jaquez is 6'7". Juzang is 6'7", and he's got pretty long arms, and those guys can do a lot of stuff, but they're not a huge team, but they're a very good rebounding team. They're in the top 50, I think, in rebound margin nationally. If you look at them statistically, other than made 3-pointers a game, they're like in the top 100 and everything, and they're in the top 50, 60, 70 in pretty much everything as well. It's a very sound team that doesn't beat itself. It's one of the top teams in the country at turnover margin. So they're not going to beat themselves. You have to beat them. Carolina's going to have to play well. You're going to have to get shots, going to have to hit shots. They're going to have to deal with the physicality in the lane. It might get chippy Friday night. And I think a positive for the Tar Heels is they've been in some chippy games this year.
Absolutely.
For example, at Louisville and this past Saturday, and they came out ahead both times. This club owns a lunch pail now. Yeah. They didn't own a lunch pail in January. They do now. And that will come in handy on Friday night.
Yeah. Definitely. Any predictions real quick before we wrap this one
up? Well, I haven't done mine yet, but I think
look,
I think Carolina's playing really well. And I know that in the NCAA tournament, everyone's playing well, getting to the Sweet 16, and it's kind of a bunch of one-game seasons. But I think Carolina's continuing to grow, and that's a difference. I think the Tar Heels got better Thursday from where they were beforehand. I think they got better Saturday from where they were even on Thursday. And the fact that this team won in the manner it did, I think they're better off having that implosion, having to have to deal with that. People want to blame the officiating, whatever. That had something to do with it, but it was more on Carolina. And that's a beautiful thing, because I will guarantee you when Hubert Davis talked to his team about those 10 minutes, he didn't sit there and mark off the 18 mistakes that fans think the officials made. Yeah. He talked about inbounding the ball to the corner. He talked about throwing high passes against the press. He talked about the fact that Carolina had 6 charging calls, 5 in the second half that were obvious charges. He talked about them losing their poise, and they still went to overtime with Styles and McCoy on the floor and won the game. Their confidence has to be beaming right now. And that to me is them growing. There isn't anybody outside of that program that would have given them a chance Saturday morning, if they were told Dontrez Styles got to play 25 minutes today, Justin McCoy is going to play the last 10 minutes of the game, and you're going to be in overtime 80 miles from Waco against the defending national champion, number 1 seed Baylor, no one would have given them a chance, but they got it done. And they regrouped. The stuff that was missing in January was absolutely on display on Saturday, and that's not going anywhere. They're going to take that with them to Philadelphia.
Yeah, most definitely. Good place to wrap this one up. If you guys want to see our predictions, still early in the week right now, just wait till Friday morning. You'll put the stat picks out, right?
Well, yeah, probably Thursday night. We're going to run this.
Okay.
We're taping this Tuesday right before I leave to Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
We're going to run this probably Wednesday night. So the staff picks will be out Thursday night, probably at the latest or at the earliest.
Yeah. If you guys want to see those staff picks, head on over to TarHeelIllustrated.com. Link to head over there is in the description below. If you want to sign up, just $8.33 a month. Great time to do so. A ton of stuff going on. Spring football is in full swing once again as well. Basketball, obviously, in the thick of it. Recruiting, football, and basketball is a 365-day-a-year thing. So if you want more content, access to content you can only see if you're signed up, sign up for a premium subscription for just $8.33 a month. And real quickly, this is a random sidebar. Please ignore the spotty painting you see back here if I can point my finger in the right direction over here. Me and my fiance are doing some painting in here, trying to clean up some of these 1,000 holes we've got around here from hanging stuff up. So
you mean you're doing the painting?
Yeah, I'm doing the painting.
I've been down that path before. Actually, in full disclosure, my wife does a lot of that stuff here. She's more of a Mr.
She can handle it too, but
she's more. My wife is much more of a Mr. Fix It than I am. I'm a Mr. Can't Fix It. I can type, I can watch, I can eat, I can drive. That's about it. I can walk. That's about it.
I should have said something earlier. I didn't want people thinking we've got like stains on the wall back there or anything like that. I can confirm it is paint that's still waiting to dry. So in case anybody's looking at like, what the heck?
Just in case anybody doesn't know, Jacob's getting married. You guys set a date yet?
Yeah, May 6th, 2023. So
wow.
Still got a ways to go. Still got a ways to go, but we have got that date set and everything like that.
She has plenty of time to come to her senses, right?
Yeah, plenty of time. I was trying to get her to speed. I was like, can we do this May, maybe, so you don't have time to change your mind on that, but couldn't get her to bite on that. You gotta do what you gotta do. So May 6th, mark the date, guys. I'm sure the one person who's watching this cares, but as always, guys, we appreciate you watching. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. Again, head on over to TarHeelIllustrated.com for all your coverage leading up to the game, after the game, all that kind of stuff. We'll have a ton of stuff rolling out this week. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell as well so you know every single time we upload. See you guys in the next one. Thanks.